moment. Very good. Right. Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear okay? Very good. Wait, this bright light is too bright. 1 second. Let me just do something like that. There we go. So good to have you here, family. Washington was scheduled to be our Eno today, and he apologized. He wrote saying there was something, some reason he might not be here at 4 o'clock in the morning. Could someone cover for him? Well, Washington, we're all covering for you. And I think especially Sekishi will be our Eno today. Am I correct? Very good. Washington said that the internet might be cut in Odessa at any time. One thing they don't want is free communications, and he's very close to the beach. So we're encouraging him to move to a friend's house. It looks like he's agreed. His friend has a kind of shelter, he said, and is a little bit out in the countryside. But if possible, if there is still internet and it can be arranged, Washington will be leading a special ZAZENKAI on Sunday. Tricycle Magazine and some other groups are the Zen Peacemakers are doing a profile of Washington. So there's a chance we will have a lot of visitors to that ZAZENKAI. But I would certainly like to encourage all Treeleafers, if they can. I'll put up the information Sunday night to support Washington, who will be hopefully leading our chants and leading Zazen from Ukraine on Sunday. In the meantime, here we are. It's good to all be together with you, family. And I see, hello, Mr. Houston. Good to see you. And Shonin, as always, Onkai, everyone. It's good to see all of you. And here we go. A little more of a Milakirti Sutra today. Boy, that sutra goes on and on and on. And that's a short sutra, man. Good thing I wasn't doing like one of the really long ones, Like, oh boy, the Surangama, man, we'd be going for a few years with that one. Okay. If you've been here before, you know what to do. If it's your first time, just follow along. Of course, we continue to sit for world peace today. Everything we do is for peace.
マカハニャハラミタ信行漢字財宝殺行人般若ハラミタ自称剣豪音階空路異彩空役者利子式不意空空不意式式即税空空即税食器重創業式役尿税シャリシ税小空想不傷不滅不空不浄不増不減税航空中無式無重創業式無変に水変に無式即未即応無限界内し無味式界無無明薬無無明人内し無老死薬無老死人無空襲滅動無知悪無得意無償登校膨大サタエ般若ハラミタコ人無下下無下下公無空不本理一切天道無相無教涅槃三世小仏へ般若ハラミタコ国アヌクタラ三脈三菩提高知般若ハラミタ世代人衆世大名衆世無常小世無常道衆農場一切空心実不公公説般若ハラミタ収束説集ワッツギャテギャテハラギャテハラソギャテボジソワカ般若心経The identity of relative and absolute. The mind of the great sage of India is intimately conveyed west and east, while human faculties are both wise or dull. In the way there are no northern or southern ancestors. The subtle source shines clear in the light. The branching streams flow in the dark. To be attached to things is primordial illusion. To encounter the absolute is not yet enlightenment. All spheres, every sense and field, intermingle even as they shine alone, interacting even as they merge, yet keeping their places and expressions of their own. Sights differ primarily in shape and character, and sounds in harsh or soothing tones. The dark makes all words one. The brightness distinguishes good and bad phrases. The four elements return to their true nature, as a child turns to its mother. Fire is hot, water is wet, wind moves and the earth is dense. Eye and form, ear and sound, nose and smell, tongue and taste, the sweet and sour, each independent of the other, like leaves that come from the same root. And though leaves and root must go back to the source, both root and leaves have their own uses. Light is also darkness. Do not think of it as darkness. Darkness is light. Do not see it as light. Light and darkness are not one, not two, like the foot before and the foot behind in walking. Each thing has its own being, which is not different from its place and function. The relative fits the absolute as a box and its lid. The absolute meets the relative like two arrow points that touch in midair. Hearing this, simply perceive what is. Make no criterion. If you do not see the way, you do not see it even as you walk upon it. Walking forward in the way, you draw no nearer, progress no further. One who fails to see this truth is mountains and rivers away. Listen, those who would perceive this subtle matter. Live well your time by night and day. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, reality existing right here now. In reciting the heart of the perfection of Great Wisdom Sutra and the identity of relative and absolute, we dedicate our sincere efforts to Shakyamuni Buddha, Honored One, the historical Buddha and teacher, and to those ancestral teachers, Eihei Dogen, Honored One, Soji Keizan, Honored One, all successive Honored Ones up until Zuigaku Renpo, Honored One, and Gudo Wafu, Honored One, and to all other Honored Ones throughout history, same yet diverse Honored Ones whose names have been forgotten or left unsaid. We also dedicate these efforts to the three treasures, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, to all awakened ones and teachers in all places and times. We especially seek tranquility and well-being for all creatures now suffering or ill in health. May they be serene through all their ills. May their lives be at peace and wisdom pervade the darkness of ignorance. We dedicate our hopes and aspirations to all victims of war and violence and natural events, to the injured and to all families touched by these tragedies, to the healing of hatred in all countries and among all peoples, to the wisdom and compassion of our world leaders, to the peace of the world and harmony of all beings. Thus let the harmful effects of words, thoughts, and actions be dispelled, and compassion bloom in perpetual spring. May we all realize and live the enlightened way together. Om Buddhas throughout space and time. All Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, Maha Prajna Paramita.
Yes, dogs have Buddha nature. Zazen. Hint, hint. Zazen? We will have a long kinhin. We will have a talk followed by Zazen. Take a couple of minutes to stretch, if you would. I will refresh our incense. Set a little light here. Here we go. All right. Well, we're going to have the verse to open the sutras. As soon as I can, we should have a special chant that Jundo can successfully get down and up these days. I'm going to the gym. I'm doing all my exercises. Chris, our physical trainer, is giving me advice. But as the years pass, it takes more time to get down. Okay. Very good.
The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we hear, see, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning. The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning. The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered yet rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Well, lovely to have you all here. Our subject for today is the Vimalakirti Sutra. And really, I guess it is, I want to say, ethical relativism in Buddhism, or living in a complicated world where things cannot always be black and white. I think many of us in our lives are wishing that things were always simple, that every choice we made was clear and pure. But the fact is that for our lives today in this complicated world, but also in Dogen's day, in the Buddha's day, things were not always so pristine. We'd like to think that the Buddha and the saints lived in a world where everything, even for them, was just clear. But I'm going to show you that even for them, sometimes they had to make some difficult choices because the world is not so simple. And this is what we face. Now, this came up because the chapter that we're reading today in the Vimalakirti Sutra really first had me scratching my head. And I had to look at 3 different translations. Dr. Thurman's translation from Tibet, and also a fellow named Luke, a Chinese speaker who did one, and Burton Watson's translation. And they don't get much better. They all kind of agree. I tried to look at the Chinese. My Chinese is so-so. And there's enough ambiguity in there that you could play with what was being said. And I think Dr. Thurman tried to soften it a little, which is the version we look at. Bert Watson gave the worst possible translation or interpretation. But basically, if you read it for the first time, it's saying something like, oh, it's okay. You act greedy on the surface. You can act, give into all the passions, go out and party, do whatever you want. It's okay as long as inside you're not really attached to all that. And I said, what? That doesn't seem like a very good Buddhist message to me. So is that really what it could be saying? It sounds more like either it's a recommendation for psychopathic behavior in which it's okay, just be cruel and mean and violent to other people. As long as you're inside, you're feeling peace, it's fine. I said, that can't be what it means. And I'm pretty sure that's not what it means. I just want you to, when we read that, you're going to see it could be interpreted that way. I think it's there's a much more subtle message here. And the reason we have to remember this is, remember the Vimalakirti Sutra was basically written for lay people and was very popular with lay people. A lot of rich people, business people back in those days, landholders, merchants. And I'm sure that they were not saints. Vimalakirti, as you remember the beginning of the story, he goes into the bars and the casinos, and somehow he's the hero of the story. We're supposed to believe that he's doing this, but he's pure. How can that be? How are these Buddhist business people, who probably are, I'm trying to assume that they're very nice people generally, but sometimes in their business, they may have certain gray areas. Is this an excuse for them to cheat and just to, be bad people? And the sutra is saying it's okay as long as inside you really don't mean it. I don't think so. I don't think so. But I think it is recognizing a world of some ambiguity that we all must live in even now. And this is what I'd like to emphasize to you too, because I don't think any of us are free of it. I was just talking about Washin, and a couple of things came up. One thing is, before he became a priest, he was in the merchant marine and the shipping industry in Ukraine for many years. And it just crossed my mind, when you're on a boat and he's a sailor, are you responsible to check every container on the ship to make sure it's all in harmony with Buddhism? If he's still, a very good man, and he was then, I'm sure, but you can't be responsible all the time for everything that a business does that you're part of. Many of you may work for, directly or indirectly, corporations, or you have clients. You cannot always be responsible for what the business does. We would like to be. I had someone who was kind of a receptionist at a corporation that did some things that were not very good for the environment, and she felt very responsible. So I said, well, you're just a receptionist. You're not on the board of directors. If you're on the board of directors, I might speak to you a little differently, but you're a receptionist. I said to her, still, as a receptionist, you can try to bring some kindness to the workplace and maybe turn slightly the boat in a better direction. And if it really, really bothers you, she needed the job to feed her kids. This was a time you can't just walk out and get another job. And I said, if it really bothers you that much and you can find another job, something that's better, do it. So this is, I think, something I face, many of us face. I'm going to talk about it a little more, but right now let's get into this language and you'll see what I mean. First off, I'm going to jump down and show you the worst case scenario. This was Burton Watson's translation. Manjusri here is asking Vimalakirti, and Vimalakirti, he says in the first lines, you Even should you enact the 5 deadly sins, you feel no malice, violence, or hate. Even should you go into the hells, you remain free of all taint of passions. Even should you go into the state of animals, you remain free of darkness and ignorance. This is Thurman who does this. You may follow the ways of desire, yet you stay free of attachment to the enjoyments of desire within inside. You may follow the ways of hatred. This is the one that really got me. You may follow the ways of hatred, yet you feel no anger to any living being. And Burton Watson did it this way. He shows greed and desire in his actions, yet is removed from the stains of attachment. He shows anger in his actions, yet has no anger or aversion toward living beings. Boy, that's really hard to interpret as a Buddhist. How do you show anger, yet within you have no anger? Well, a couple of things came to me. I'm the father of a teenager, and sometimes I can say that I raise the voice and wag the finger, but inside, okay, I'm going to confess. So sometimes I do get a little upset with some things my teenage son might have done. I'm not going to claim that I'm always a saint, but many times I raise my voice and wag my finger, and inside I don't mean it at all. It's just filled with love, a little trying to scare him, about, don't do some bad thing. Don't put your seatbelts in the car. Why are you driving here? I turn around and you have no seatbelts on, like that. Raise my voice. It's more of concern than of anger. This is true. There may be times when a business person or someone must raise their voice in righteous indignation, but inside they should be calm. I can see sometimes when someone would speak forcefully, but inside they should be calm. But I do not believe this means that it's okay, do hate, do violence, but just inside, as long as you don't really you're not really attached to it, it's okay. That's psychopathic behavior. That is not what I think this is pointing to at all. This is dealing more with a world of complexity, which we must live in. Let me read a little more. You'll see some of this. This is the Thurman translation. He follows the ways of avarice. Avarice means greed. Yet he gives away all internal and external things without regard even for his own life. He may follow the ways of immorality, yet seeing the horror of even the slightest transgressions, he lives by the ascetic practices and austerities. He may follow the ways of wickedness and anger, yet he remains utterly free of malice and lives by love. He may follow the ways of laziness, and it continues a little more like that. So I'm thinking, this is not telling someone it's okay just to be wicked as long as you don't mean it. I think what this is saying is, none of us, as much as we'd like, can live in a world in which we're not surrounded by all this stuff, this terrible stuff. We see examples of people in our life who become angry. We see examples of wickedness. We see temptations. And we have two choices. Really, well, we have a few choices. Number one, we can go into the mountains and live in a cave. Well, that'll solve the problem. As long as we just gather our nuts and berries and stay in our cave, and then the only wickedness we have to deal with, I suppose, is our own, because we're by ourselves. Number two is we can go into a monastery, lock the doors, but I'm going to show you in a second, that didn't solve the problem. That never solved the problem. Number three is we can do what we're doing, which is live in a world of complexity, in which in our own families, in the news, we see violence, we see wickedness, we see temptation, and as best we can, inside, it doesn't get us. And outside, we try as we can to turn it in good directions. knowing it can never be perfect. Got what I'm saying? Sorry, I cannot fix the world. That receptionist cannot fix the company she's working with. But in her little way, she can turn it maybe in a good direction. She's not on the board of directors, but maybe she can just gently do something. We cannot stop the violence in the news. There's a war I cannot stop. I cannot stop all the crime and injustice I see in the world. But I'm not going to a cave. I'm not going to the cave. I'm staying in this world like Vimalakirti. That's our bodhisattva vow. So I think what this is saying is we stay here with our necks up to it in the muck. But as best we can, we try to make something beautiful grow from this. That's got to be the message. It is a Buddhist text after all. Now I got to say, most of these Buddhist texts, boy, they are a mess. They could have used with an editor back then. They're inconsistent. It's like everybody threw something in and they were writing with kanji, so they didn't have a word processor. If you just threw something in, it stayed because otherwise you'd have to rewrite the whole thing. Then another guy threw something in. Boy, the Vimalakirti Sutra is not what we call easy reading. It jumps around one thing after another. And I can't be sure, but I'm almost positive this is the message here. Now, why did I say the monasteries did not escape and the Buddha did not escape? You'd like to think, oh, the monks, they took vows of nonviolence and charity and not being celibate and not being attached to many things. So you would think that they were living in a world of purity. I'm here to tell you it was not true for a simple reason. The people who allowed the monastery to exist were the kings and the soldiers and the warlords of ancient China and India and Japan. Master Dogen's Eiheiji could not exist but for a samurai lord sponsor, the one-eyed samurai, Lord Hatto, a powerful regional warlord who gave Dogen the land and the capital in order to establish Eiheiji. He had a choice: either have no community, be true to maybe some inner sense of perfection, and we would not be here right now. Or he accepted this money. Where did the money come from? It came from serfs, maybe slaves. It came from land. It came from battle. And he took this money and he made something beautiful with it. The Buddha did the same. The Buddha had to feed his monks. The Buddha's philosophy was we open a bowl, things are placed in the bowl. We do not ask many questions where this came from. I think we would call it what? No asky, no telly, something like that. Now, did that mean that the Buddha and Dogen were complicit in establishing, all this horrible conduct? I mean, maybe many of the people who donated to the Buddha, they were good people. Maybe the kings were trying to do their best, like Ashoka, very good. But even Ashoka, the great king, man, he's got a kind of checkered past there. What do you do? So the Buddha came up with a kind of good solution. He accepted lunch from just about anybody who offered it. Hey, guys got to eat. These were kings, these were courtesans and powerful merchants and Who knows what they were involved in? Hopefully good things, but you can't look on like a washing ship. You can't look on every container on the ship and see what's in there. Was one guy manufacturing weapons and the other guy is just selling flowers? Who knows? But he took the money. So what do? You take the money and you put it to good causes. And as best you can, you leave them with a teaching to try to turn the world in a better direction. That's what the Buddha did. He took this money, wherever it came from, and he built something to bring peace and goodness into the world. He took lunch from almost every powerful person who offered it. Rarely did he take the lunch. He said, take lunch from the poor people, but the poor people couldn't afford to give much. So he usually took lunches from the people who could afford it. And he'd leave them with a message, usually not telling them, you cannot tell a king, disband your armies, king, give up. The Buddha was practical, so was Dogen. He'd leave them with as good a message as was possible. There is no sutra where he ever told a king, disband all your armies and leave your country completely unprotected. There was no sutra where he ever told a rich man, even though it says Vimalakirti and some of the others gave away all their wealth. They also kept wealth. He said, use it for good purposes. Be charitable. Feed your family. Take a quarter to feed your family. Treat your workers well. He even said, treat your slaves well. Slavery was not, in those days, it was just part of the social scene. I know now, oh, it's shocking. The Buddha, many Buddhists, great Buddhists had slaves. It's true. In China, in India, there was slavery. Sorry. He said, treat them well. That was what was acceptable. What can I tell you? 600 years ago. Then he said, use some of the money for yourself and use it for charity. This is what the Buddha's message. This was Dogen's message. Dogen had warriors come. He taught them. He was asked to teach the shogun. We don't really have a historical record of what the Dogen said at the time. But there is a movie, which is almost as good as having a sutra. Huh? Right? There's a movie version where some screenwriter made it. You can see it. It's called Zen, the life of Dogen, and he goes to see the shogun. The shogun is, it's a little Yiddish expression, Mishugana, the Mishugana shogun. He's a little crazy, the shogun. He's being haunted by all the ghosts of all the people he's killed, you know? So the shogun calls Dogen and says, soothe my heart. I'm all upset. I had to kill all these people. Dogen doesn't say, well, disband your armies. And, you know, Dogen kind of leaves him with a message, try to be more peaceful in the future. This is what we face. Right now, Huaxin, in my heart, some charities came. I had a choice between a charity to buy arms for the Ukrainian army or to support the Ukrainian refugees. Of course, I chose the charity. I could not support the Ukrainian army myself, but I gave money to help refugees. Fine. But in my heart, do I hope the Ukrainians win? Am I going to lie to you? Of course I hope the Ukrainians win. Do I think the Ukrainians are going to win by, just gosh-showing to the Russians? No, I don't think so. Does that make me a warmonger? Because in my heart, I support the Ukrainian resistance. No, I don't think so. I wish there was no war. I believe in the Ukrainian people's right to defend themselves, personally. The Dalai Lama was asked this question this week. What do you think about the Ukrainians defending themselves? The Dalai Lama copped out. He goes, war is bad. Yeah, we all agree on that, Dalai Lama, but can the Ukrainian people, do you think that they have the right to defend themselves? Oh, war. I wish there were no wars. Okay, thank you. I do too. I wish there were no wars. I understand where the Dalai Lama is coming from. I do believe personally that the Ukrainian people tragically have a right to defend their homes. Does that make me a warmonger? I leave it to you. This is the kind of choice I have to face. I'm a translator of legal materials because I also translate Buddhist things, but Buddhist things don't feed my family. I have to translate legal documents sometimes. For the most part, I rarely am faced with any kind of ethical choice, but occasionally it comes. For example, a big Japanese company came to me to do something about their medical devices. Okay, that's good, right? They're making medical devices with technology. But I know the same company in another division is also doing weapons. Should I refuse to work for this company? I did not. Another situation though, a tobacco company came to me and said, will you translate these contracts? And I said, I'm sorry, I can't do this one. My father died of emphysema from cigarettes, and I've known too many people. I think cigarettes kill. I cannot do this one. So I turned that one down. But I cannot look in every box of every client who comes to me. So I try to take the money I earn from that work and create Treeleaf and do this. And when I can, I leave a good message. I'll give you one more example. I got a strange call about a year ago. Will you come teach meditation to our athletes? I sometimes done some small sports teams, give them a talk on Zazen. This one, however, was for the motorcycle racing in Japan, which is like horse racing. It's a gambling. It's a nationally licensed gambling operation, like the horse racing. And they said, will you come and lecture our jockeys, the motorcycle riders? We are looking for a meditation teacher. If not you, it will be somebody else. Okay, boy, this really said, I'll get back to you. And it sent me for a couple of days really thinking about this. What do I do? Well, first off, they're looking for a meditation teacher. If it's not me, it's going to be somebody else. Okay, that's clear. Next, I looked at Vimilakirti. He went into the gambling casino. Is there some reason I can go in here and leave a little bit, turn the boat in a good direction? I looked at homeless Kodo Sawaki, who during World War II, this fellow Victoria wrote a book about Zen at War, in which he had all the Buddhists who in any way said something positive about war. He made them all into warmongers, and it was not so clear. You had some Buddhists in the war who really were warmongers, nationalists. Very few, but a few virulent nationalists. Okay? But you didn't have that. You had some other people who were patriotic. Like I'm sure Washington and I feel toward Ukraine right now, or if my country were invaded, or someone came here to Japan, I would feel a certain patriotism and support of the military. You had a lot of Buddhists like that. And then you had Buddhists who regretfully knew the horrors of war, but thought we got to do something. So, for example, homeless Kodo, who got this bad reputation for being a warmonger, was very much the opposite. He had been drafted as a young man in the Russian-Japanese War, saw a real horror. He wrote that the horror disgusted him in the stomach. And Victoria changed that to, oh, we enjoyed, it filled us. He said the killing filled us. And if you read the Japanese, it said, the killing disgusted our stomachs. Victoria did that a lot in that book. He would twist these statements. So homeless Kodo was disgusted by the war. And yet it comes World War II, and they say to him, you must go and speak to the soldiers, and you must write something in a magazine for the Buddha. The Soto Shu said, we're going to publish something. We need an essay from you. And he probably had a choice. Either I say no, or I go talk, or I write the essay. So he wrote the essay and he gave the talk. Here's the brilliant thing. He gives the talks and he threads that needle. He's telling the soldiers, look, I saw war. I can put up my articles on this later if you want to see. I saw a war and you're going to have to kill people. Please be civilized about it. Treat the enemy as if your own family. I believe that's what he said, if I recall. Feel the weight of what you're doing. Okay, so he's a kind of practical realist. These soldiers are going, whether he likes it or not. So he gives a talk and says, not, abandon the army, run away. He didn't say it. He said, go, you're going to fight. In those days, by the way, I'm sorry we're getting way off course here, but in those days, by the way, you got to understand, the Japanese did not know about what was going on overseas. It's not like they got the newspaper and they knew, oh, I see what the Nazis are really doing, and I really know what's going on with in Germany, and I really know what's going on in China. To them, they were getting filtered news. Even my own family at the time, they were being told what the government wanted to tell them. So he didn't know everything that was going on. He thought maybe this was a war that was defensive. So he told the soldiers, you need to go fight this war. Please do it in the best way possible. Okay? So I took the job with the bicycle folks, and I go and I speak to them. Because what can I leave them? And and some of the coaches are sitting there, and I try to say to them, be honorable in what you're doing. Oh, by the way, I also investigated. This is a nationally licensed, like the horse racing. They post the numbers if you have addictions. They actually have some programs. They're actually trying to make an effort to avoid people who are gambling with addictions. But I went and I gave a talk that basically said, be an athlete, be the best athlete you can be, and ethically don't get involved in anything dirty, don't cheat. And hopefully no one's getting hurt from this. I tried to get a message in there. And then at the end, I walk out of this and they hand me an envelope and they say, here's your money. I said, well, I don't want any money. And they said, well, the government, it's a Japanese government program, you got to understand. They said, the government insists we have to pay you. You have to take this money. So I took the money and I immediately donated it to charity. I was thinking a charity against gambling, but I gave it to a charity that helps poor people. This was the choice I made. Was it black and white? No. Could I have run to the cave? Maybe I could have done that. Someone else would teach him. But I went, I taught, tried to leave a good message, took the money, and tried to let the money do 10 times better than any damage I did by helping these people. That was the ethical choice I made. So this is what we face. Now let's get back into this material, because I think that's what it's talking about. So he may follow the way of avarice, yet he gives away all the internal and external things without regard even to his own life. He may follow the ways of immorality, seeing the horrors of even the slightest transgressions, yet he lives by the ascetic practices and austerities. Okay? And then the alternative version by Watson is, the next one says, interesting, if you're poor, don't be attached to your poverty, feel rich inside. And if you're rich, because a lot of people reading this are rich, don't be attached to your riches, but he's not saying give your riches away, use them for good things. You're all living pretty prosperous lives. I'm looking at all your houses here. You may not think, oh, I'm not rich, I'm just a lower middle class American. The fact, or wherever you are in any country. And Cyprus, you too. Mauritania, I'm including you. I'm looking at you. You're not all living terrible lives. You're relatively wealthy people. the message here is use it for good. Okay? Watton says, he seems to be among the poor and destitute, yet he has jeweled hands capable of bestowing inexhaustible benefits. The next one is a little slight to against disabled people. Notice that was in the old days. He seems to be crippled and deformed, yet possesses auspicious features, adorning himself wonderfully with them. Okay, let's take that to mean that it doesn't matter what you look like, it is who you are inside. He seems to be humble and lowly, yet he is born into the seed lineage of the Buddha. I'm going to skip down to the next paragraph. He may manifest to living beings the ways of the sick and the unhappy, yet he is entirely conquered and transcended the fear of death. He may follow the ways of the rich, yet he is without acquisitiveness and often reflects upon the notion of impermanence. The next one's interesting. He may show himself engaged in dancing with harem girls, or I don't know, seeing porno on the internet, or whatever we do these days, that's the equivalent. Yet he cleaves to solitude, having crossed the swamp of desire. Okay, so this is it again. All I can tell you is either go to your cave, or when you're cruising the internet and you see something distasteful, try to not become a prisoner of that and to turn it in a good direction. If you have a chance for greed, if you have a chance for violence, if you have a chance for anger, or you see it around you, don't you get pulled into it. I'm not saying you're going to be a saint. I'm not saying you can be a saint. I'm also a practical Buddhist, like homeless Kodo Sawaki and the Buddha and Dogen. Well, maybe Dogen was more of an idealist than me because he had his monastery. You know, he could pretend he was in the mountains isolated most of the time. I can't. I'm here in the suburbs, baby. I got the internet. I know what's going on. So I'm not going to tell you you are going to be saints. I'm telling you, be good people. Be someone on your deathbed who can sit there and go, okay, I give myself a B+. I'm happy. Okay? Okay, get A- even. Go ahead, try for it. But I don't need 4.0 students. I just told this to my son for his college, by the way, really in real life, because he's got some grades that are doing pretty good. I said, I don't need a 4.0 student. Do your best. You're good people. Don't kill anybody, please. Don't rob any banks. Don't rape. Don't burn down someone's house. Don't you start any wars. If I had the chance right now to teach Zazen to Mr. Putin, you're damn right I'd go. I don't think he'd want me. I'd bow to him. He'd say, bring me some peace. I'd say, Mr. Putin, if you would like peace, be peaceful. I would go. I'm telling you to do the same. Now, let's see. Do we have time for the next? I'm gonna leave chapter 9 for next time because it's also this other big topic. But basically, it's about emptiness again, the non-duality of the world, and what we do is, again, in that section, part of the way to bring peace to yourself is you see a world of war, killing and being killed, but somehow you know that there is something in our practice beyond killing, beyond killer and kill. You see anger, someone angry at somebody else, and we know something beyond someone to be angry and something to be angry about, and someone who's on the receiving end. We see birth and death. We see something beyond all this. That's part of what we do. Part of what we do. So you can be free. Some people think, oh, it's okay then to kill someone because in your heart you're a Buddhist. You know, I'm not really. There's no one actually there. They're empty. I'm empty. Killing is empty, so I can just shoot him. It's okay. That is not the message. It's true. That is true. We believe what I just said, as we'll see next time. But that's not the message. The message is, if you're in a situation when there's killing going on, first off, you try not to kill. If you do need to kill in defense, try to avoid it as much as possible. I often say, if there was somebody in my house standing over my daughter in the room, and I don't know who this person is and what they're doing in my house, I may grab the baseball bat first. We don't have guns in the house here. This is Japan. And give them a little knock and then ask a question. I'm not sure what I would do. I'm not going to lie to you. But to the extent possible, I don't go into the grocery store and knock people around. I'm not a violent person. To the extent possible, when you're in terrible, difficult situations, try to turn them to good as best you can. And you don't become a prisoner of the greed and the anger and the jealousy. If you see jealousy all around you, if you feel it rising in your own heart, to the extent you can, let it go. To the extent you can in this complicated world, leave it better. I'm a practo-Buddhist. What was it? Pragmatism? Isn't that the? I'm a pragma Buddhist. We like to say a realist, because I know we have hard choices to make sometimes. Okay? That's my talk, which I also give a B+. Any questions? Any moral dilemmas you'd like me to solve for you? Yes. Raise your hand, turn on the mic, go ahead.
Thank you for the talk, Jindo. I'm just kind of wondering, and I kind of think I know what you're going to say maybe, but you know, we all live in a complex world. We have our complex lives, and we have decisions that we have to make, and you know, it can be tough sometimes. And I feel like, you know, I'm kind of wondering, how do you cultivate that wisdom to know how you should respond to certain situations? And we talked about a lot of ambiguity, and we're all kind of aware of that, I suppose, but I don't know, what would you say about finding that wisdom to respond better?
I think we have an inner sense of what's right and wrong. The precepts in early Buddhism, I have some relatives, by the way, who are Hasidic Jews. They're very similar to the Theravada monks. They have all these rules. It gives them such clarity. You must wait 3 hours between eating meat and milk. Is that it? Yeah, meat and milk. And my friend married this woman who was even more Orthodox than he was, and she was insisting on 6 hours between the meat and milk. It drove him crazy. He'd say, okay, it's been 3 hours, I can have my glass of milk. She'd go, no, 3 more hours, you gotta wait. He needed those rules. But in Mahayana Buddhism, we see some black and whites and a lot of unfortunate gray. I'll give you an example, black and white. I don't see any situation in which violence in anger against a child is ever justified. Period. I can't think of one. I mean, like, you know, just irate anger against the child. I don't see it. If I'm a dentist and I cause a child a little pain to pull a tooth, that's a different story. If I must use, you know, I'm socially concerned and I do certain things to stop a tank. Should I blow up a tank that's coming to my town? The tank will kill 100 people. I killed the 3 people in the tank. Oh boy, what do I do? It's like one of these questions, you know, about the trolley, you know, the trolley test. Do you kill the one guy to stop the trolley from hitting the 5 people? We Buddhists have no better answer for this. But we do have inside a sense of what's right and wrong. And sometimes you got to put your finger in the air and feel it. What is the choice, the better way, the less attached way, the less angry way, the less greedy way? We know the good direction. You know, this is jealousy. Don't do jealousy. This is not jealousy. We know what the difference is between being jealous and not jealous. Go the not jealous way. This is anger. I know what anger is. This is not being angry. Go the not angry way. We have an inner sense. Follow your inner sense. I can't tell you what it's going to be in every situation, but you do have an inner compass. Follow it.
Thank you.
I wish we lived in a world with no tanks. How's that? I wish we lived in a world where no children were ever hurt. I wish we lived in a world with no dentists. But okay. Any more? Yes, Onkai. Onkai, who is a generally gentle and good person.
Thank you. And thank you for the talk. I'm just thinking, is this saying that while society may have its wrongs, it's a matter of not standing out, but keeping your own compass, moral compass, keeping the precepts?
Well, sometimes I think you have to stand up and march and make your voice heard. So again, I don't believe in running to the cave just so you're morally pure. So sometimes, yes, follow your own compass and don't participate with others, but sometimes you must actively work and petition against things and get change. So I think there is a time to stand up and say things, even if the hammer comes down on you a bit. I'm not going to say again, you know, should you, like the priest, the famous one in Vietnam, set himself on fire because he was, people think it was about peace, but actually it was about oppression in the Buddhist church by the Catholic government in Vietnam, was probably more what that was about. So he set himself on fire. I don't think that was the right way to do it. And I think there were better ways. So there are good ways and bad ways to do it. So you, on the other hand, so I'm not saying you have to, you know, you don't have to go charging if there are guns pointed. You don't have to go charging at the soldiers to make a point, getting yourself killed. But there's a time to stand up and speak and act and unite. My dear brother Brad Warder, one of the things, you know, Brad and I, we bump noses once in a while. It's no secret. One of the things was he said, one guy can't do anything. So what am I going to do to change the world? And I said, Brad, one person cannot do anything. 100 people, 1,000 people can. That's where you're wrong. When we unite, we have tremendous power. So there is a time for us to unite and act. Okay? The song we're going to dance in a few minutes, by the way, is an example of that. It's called The Duckling of Sunya, I think, which is a sad song. We're not dancing today. It's a Ukrainian folk song, which is about a mother who is seeing her son off. He's going to a war, apparently, and she remembers him as a baby held to her breast, and he's about to die, and he says, Mama, where are they going to bury me? It's a terrible song. I looked at it. It became a theme of what was called the Euro riots, not Euro riots, the Euro demonstrations in Ukraine, when some people, peaceful marchers, were marching for democracy in the Ukraine a few years ago, and apparently the anti-democratic forces shot some of the protesters, so it became a protest song as well. There's a time to stand up and unite. Now, I don't know the whole story of this song, but I do know the message is against war. It's about the tragedy of war. It's not about celebrating war. So that's why we're going to listen to it quietly today, as opposed to our usual dancing. Any more questions before we? Anything at all? Yes, Mr. Taylor, who apparently during my talk has been doing your taxes for the last.
No taxes. I was just wondering, we all know stories of teachers in certain traditions that maybe took the words of this sutra a little bit literally. Thinking about people like Chogyam Trungpa and things like that, who were maybe abusive to, members of their communities or so forth. And I just, I really appreciated. Don't
do that.
This isn't really a question so much as I really appreciate you pointing out that that is not what the sutra is really saying. So thank you very much for that.
Like any religion, we have truly saintly people. Right now I'm listening to a podcast, many episodes about Mother Teresa. Very mixed story there. She's not evil like some people think. She was not the saint some people think. She was a very serious woman, and that caused problems. But I know some truly saintly people. Not perfect, very good. And I know some people the other way who don't be that way. And and I would hope that sometime, if it came my time, I could do something saintly. If there was a fire, I hope I'm the one who charges in to rescue the baby in the burning building. I hope. I will not know until, sadly, if I ever face that situation. I hope that's me. Okay? There may be a time to stand up for something, but in the meantime, on a day-to-day basis, be a good person. Just be good. Okay? Try to make this world better. I love Mother Teresa, what she did to help the poor. She did not do enough to end poverty. Let's try to make a world that has no poverty, and then we don't need Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa can get a real job. Okay? You know what I meant. Okay. So, anything else before we go on? Sakishi, I'm surprised. You always ask something. Nothing? Quiet today? Okay. All right. Sakishi's a good man. Sakishi, there's not an animal he's ever seen on the side of the road. This is true. He sees a deer got hit. He crawled into the woods, found the deer, and did a kind of tried to rescue the deer. Couldn't. I believe you had to find someone with a gun. They shot the deer because the deer was suffering, if I remember the story. And then you chanted the Heart Sutra for the deer. Is that the story, Sakishi?
Yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah. Okay. He's a good guy. All right. Let's have the verse to close the sutras then.
May the merits of these teachings penetrate into each thing and all places, so that we and every sentient being together may realize the Buddha's way. All Buddhas throughout space and time. All Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, Maha Prajna Paramita.
Note to Sakishi before I forget. Your drums and bells, man, they're making me deaf today. I think move the microphone or something. Just to tell you. Okay. Plus the dog barking. At least you weren't sneezing this time. Okay.
You just can't trust me for anything.
Let's today we're going to stand or sit as you need and just listen silently to this song. As you're doing so, of course, in your heart, wish that there were no tanks and we did not need any songs like this. Okay? Let me go do a little incense thing for this song. Right?
Гей, пливи кача по тисині, пливи кача по тисині. Мамко моя, не лай мені, мамко моя, ой, не лай мені. Гей, занаєш мій злу годину, занаєш мій злу годину. Ой, сам не знаю, де погину, сам не знаю, де погину. Ой, погину я в чужім краю, погину я в чужім краю. Ой, хто ж мій буде брати я? Хто ж мій буде брати я? Вірутні чужі люди, виберуть мені чужі люди. Ой, чи не жаль ти, мамко, буде? Чи не жаль ти, мамко, буде? Ой, як же ж мені, синку, не жаль, як же ж мені, синку, не жаль. Ой, на серці лежав, ніж на моїм серці лежав.
Zazen? will have a long kinhin. We will now recite the metaverses, followed by a little more Zazen. I know it's really hard to do these 4-hour sittings, but we're hearing from Kakunin, our Treeleaf alumni, who's now a very serious Soto Shu monk at the monastery. And they do these 4-hour sittings every morning, every day. It's called What You Do Before Breakfast. So it's a lot of it's psychological, If you feel that something's long and you have resistance to it, then it's long and you're going to have resistance. And if you feel it's very pleasant and not so bad, and you find the way to make it not so bad, then it's not so bad. This is one of the secrets of what we're doing here. It's not to like, oh, the more I sit, I'm going to have some big experience. A lot of it is, the more you sit, the more you realize you're in control right up here. You can, by the resistance you create within you and the thoughts, the divisions you create within you, you can turn this into a hard experience, or you can turn it into a good experience. And I'm going to tell you something very frank, and I hope I can get a picture this time. I'm doing a very special ZAZENKAI retreat on Tuesday. It's called my colonoscopy. I'm a cancer survivor. I believe I'm going to encourage all of you, get the camera in every hole you got. Please. Everyone's talking, get it, save my life. If I had found out a year later, I wouldn't be here. They caught it early because of the camera. That was down the nose. This is up the other end. But anyway, the point of that is that it's not a very pleasant experience, but you know something? Oh, they don't, by the way, no, what is it? Not amnesia. I'm having amnesia. Anesthesia. No anesthesia in Japan. Yeah. They're not like you soft Americans. Yeah, they just like grit their teeth and like take it. I'm telling you. So I get no anesthesia, and I learned a couple of years ago that I either can turn it into a good experience or a bad experience because it's zazen. It's zazen with a camera up your butt. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is not just for sitting here. I know it's hard to sit here, but many times in life, whenever life is a pain in the butt, hi-hat, you can turn it into what you want because of the power you have up here. Okay? Anyway, you'll be hearing later this week more of my colonoscopy. If I could persuade the doctor, man, we would do a ZAZENKAI from in there while I'm on the table. I'm telling you. Maybe I'll talk to him next time. Okay. What were we doing now? Oh, metta. Okay, metta. Boy, the world needs metta. And as you know, we chant first for some in our faith. Everything okay? You can hear okay? I just got the warning signal for missing control. Hello. Okay. I think that means it's okay. The first one is for someone we love, then a friend. Then we chant for a stranger, someone we barely knew. Then the hard one, we chant for a difficult person. I'm going to be very honest this time. You can join me if you wish. You don't have to. I'm going to be chanting metta for Mr. Putin. With the old joke, I never met a man I didn't like. But bum hi-hat. Okay. Can you guys still hear? Yeah, okay. All right. Why am I chanting for Mr. Putin, wishing him well? Well, here's the idea again. If he knew peace inside, if he was not torn and disturbed inside, if he was mentally and I guess more than physically, but if he was mentally healthy, he wouldn't be doing things like this. Therefore, we wish him peace and we wish him health. I'm not going to wish him dead. Sorry. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wish him, and I don't want to wish him to suffer too much. I know it's very tempting. Boy, I hope he really suffers. What we do is kind of more effective. We wish he was healthy. We wish he was feeling like a normal human being. If we wish he knew some compassion, and then this wouldn't happen. Okay? That's why I'm chanting for Putin. You don't have to join me, but you're more than welcome to. Or someone else difficult in your life, or someone who has done you wrong. Feel free to chant. And then we chant for all sentient beings everywhere. I left my bell over there. 1 second. Now I need the ringer. Okay. Okay. All right. Are you ready? Now, first for someone we, first for ourselves. I forgot us. First, you can chant for yourself. May I be free of suffering. This is a visualization. Really feel free of suffering. May I feel safe. I feel safe and still. May I be free of enmity. Enmity means hate. I don't know why we didn't just say hate, but we like the fancy word, enmity. May I be free of enmity? May I be loving. Feel the love, baby. Grateful. Feel grateful. Feel grateful for all of it, baby. Everything. Even the grating stuff. May I feel loving, grateful, and kind. Feel the kindness. May I be healthy. And asterisk, because I won't always be. Let's hope for a good colonoscopy on Tuesday. May I be at ease in all my ills. May I be at peace, embracing all conditions. I underline, exclamation point, embracing all conditions of life. Okay. That's how we do it. It's a visualization exercise. You got to really feel it. Don't just mumble the words. All right. Next, for someone we love. Think of somebody. Can be multiple people. You never can have too much love. May she be free of suffering. May she feel safe and still. May she be free of enmity. May she be loving, grateful, and kind. May she be healthy. And, because she is not right now, at ease in all her ills. May she be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Okay, now for a friend, co-worker, somebody like that. Okay. May she be free of suffering. May she feel safe and still. May she be free of enmity. May she be loving, grateful, and kind. May she be healthy, and at ease in all her ills. May she be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Okay? Now, a stranger, the delivery boy, the Uber driver. May he be free of suffering. May he feel safe and still. May he be free of enmity. May he be loving, grateful, and kind. May he be healthy and at ease in all his ills. May he be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Okay, here's the hard one, at least for me, some people. This is not easy. For Mr. Putin and other difficult people. Mr. Putin, may you be free of suffering, because it seems like you're suffering inside and making us all suffer, sir. May you feel safe and still in your heart, and please stay safely and stilly at home. May you be free of enmity, underline, exclamation point, circle it. May you be loving, enough said, grateful, but not for military victories, please, and kind to others and to yourself too, okay? May you be healthy in body and mind, and at ease in all your ills. What's ever troubling you and causing all this? May you be at peace. Peace, man, like with the two fingers. May you be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Okay, now for all sentient beings everywhere. May we be free of suffering. May we feel safe and still. May we be free of enmity as a human race. May we be loving, grateful, and kind to each other. May we be healthy and at ease in all our ills. Plus, decent insurance wouldn't hurt. Just stuck that in there as an extra thing. Really. May everyone have good insurance policies. May we be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Okay. Sorry I stuck that in there about the insurance. As an American living here in Japan, I just have to tell you, my colonoscopy on Tuesday, $30 equivalent, okay? That's with everything, the meal, the clothes, everything, okay? Huh? $30 for a colonoscopy, who can beat that? Okay. Let us sit for a few more minutes Remember, sitting is not a matter of long or short. So just while you're sitting, whether we sit for a minute or an hour, or like Kakunin, 18 hours a day or 27 hours a day, please forget about time in all measure. 1 moment of Zazen includes all time. Let's sit. We will now recite the verse of atonement and the 4 vows. Give me a second here. The big temples, man, I'd have all kinds of support staff here. I got to do everything myself. 1 second. I'm the lighting guy, the cleaning lady, I'm everything here. 1 second here. Okay.
All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable, to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable, to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way non-attainable.
Well, lovely everybody. I wish you a peaceful week. Unfortunately, I can't promise you a perfect world, but please follow your moral compasses as best you can. Please be good. And most importantly, leave this world better in some way. Every bad encounter, turn it to the good. Every difficult situation, you could go a bad way, head to the good. It's not hard. All right. Peace to you all. And Sunday night, if you're around, we're going to have that 1 hour sitting with Washeen, hopefully, from wherever he is. He's on the road right now, I think. And peace to you all. Love you all. See you guys. Let me try my Zoom function. I got this new Zoom function. Woo! 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 Look at it. Look at it. In and out. Okay. See you guys. Thanks,
How'd you
guys.
manage that? How'd you get that? The
What,
Zoom.
the Zoom? The
Yeah.
Zoom? It's Zoom.
You didn't have that before. What'd you do?
I don't know. Some guy advised me to get all this stuff.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Thanks, Bill. See you guys.
Bye.